नमस्ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गे राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवे प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam thematic series. In the last class, yesterday we could not have the class, sorry for that. And in the last class, we had this section discussion of how not seeing the Lord, Narad was very perturbed and he tried to meditate, seeing his endeavor. The Lord felt compassion and then the Lord spoke. So, what did the Lord speak? So, Narad's, Lord's instruction to Narad we saw. Oh Hanta, in this body, you will not be able to see me again. Na mam drishtum iha arhati. But lack practitioners, kuyoginam, who still have some contamination, avipaka kashayanam, cannot see me at all. Dur darsho aham. So, what was that? Although he had attained prema, there was slight contamination, attachment to the forest, living in the mode of goodness. So, that's what Jiva Goswami, Prabhupada's purport, Vishwanath Thakur. And then we saw these Nitya Siddha, Murchita Kashaya, and Amurchita Kashaya. Uh, Nitya Siddha is Narad Muni, Murchit Kashaya is Sukadeva Goswami, Amurchit Kashaya is Narad Muni. There is some Kashaya which is still not, you know, that's why he's termed as Kuyogi now, we saw. And then he says, once I give darshan, O sinless Narad, I show myself once to produce a desire to see me. Te etad kamaya, the devotee, so desiring me, mat kamaya, gradually becomes free from all materials. Sarvan muchati richayan. And then the Lord says, by serving the devotee, satseva for even a short time, adirgayapi, your intelligence becomes fixed in me, firmly fixed. Jayate mate drida. When you give up hitva, this body, imam lokam, so you'll give up this body of love, earth, advyam, you will become my associate. Ganta mach janatam asi. So you'll become my associate. He promises that. And then he says, your intelligence, yamati, being absorbed in me, mai nibbadha, will never be destroyed. Na vipadyate karhachet. Even at the time of creation and destruction of living entities. Praja sarga nirodapi. By my mercy, mad anugrah, your memory of the previous kalpa will not be destroyed. Smriti cha. So Krishna as a Paramatma is there. Matta smritir gyan apohanam cha. So only by his mercy we can remember. So after instructing, today we'll begin this section. Narad follows the instructions until death, 25 to 27. Again, a very interesting section. एतावद् उक्तोपराराम तन्महद् भूतं नमोलिङ्गम् अलिङ्गमीश्वरम् अहं च तस्मै महतां महीयसे श्रीष्णावनावं विधेयनुकम्पित. Having spoken this, etavad uktva, the Lord whose words are the highest proof, mahad bhutam, whose words appeared in the sky, Nabolingam, because the Lord was not seen, he just heard the voice in the sky, who was not visible to the eyes, a lingam, and was capable of bestowing mercy to the most fallen boy, Ishwaram. The Lord stopped speaking. Upa Ra Ram. Receiving his mercy, Anukampita, I lowered my head. Aham Shishna Avanamam. We Dadde, to the greatest of the great. Tasme Mahatam Mahise. So he lowered his head down to the greatest of the greatest. Prabhupada. That the personality of Godhead was not seen but only heard does not make any difference. So even if we can hear the Lord, and it is not different from seeing the Lord. So how we as devotees can hear the Lord? Anyone? How can we hear the Lord? Because there is no difference. Now, as such, we can understand we cannot see the Lord because we are in the sadhaka stage. But how we can hear the Lord? How? Narad Muni was able to hear the voice of the Lord directly. But how we as conditioned souls, sadhakas, have that opportunity to hear the Lord? Anyone? Raise your hands. Navneet, yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, by hearing the holy name of the Lord while chanting.
Oh, that, yes, but something
And
more.
also the Shravanam Kirtanam which we are doing, that is hearing the glories and the pastimes.
Yeah, hearing directly the Gita and the Bhagavatam, which is non-different from the Lord, that is directly, it's as good as God speaking to us. So please, do we have that consciousness that when we are reading, oh, actually it is the Lord directly speaking to me? The moment we, set or fine tune our consciousness in this way, that the Lord is actually directly speaking to me through the Guru Shish Parampara, and it is not different from the Lord speaking to me. So this should be our consciousness. And also we can see the Lord. How do we see the Lord in our sadhaka stage? How do we see the Lord? Anyone? How can we see the Lord?
Uh, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, whenever we chant like and we have the feelings like sometimes we have the tears
But
or
that is
the
not
love of
seeing
the
the Lord.
yes, 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 sure, Prabhuji.
We can go and see the
Do, do,
deities of the Lord, which are not different from the Lord. So that's
yes,
how
Prabhuji.
sadhaka should practice in his sadhana stage. The personality of Godhead produced the four Vedas by his breathing, and he is seen and realized through the transcendental sound of the Vedas. So he is seen through the transcendental. So you have to see the Lord through hearing. One of the names of the Lord is Shruta Ikshita. Shruta means to hear, Ikshita means to see. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita is the sound representation of the Lord, and there is no difference in identity. So the conclusion is the Lord can be seen and heard by persistent chanting of the transcendental sound. Yes, Mataji had made this point. It's not just chanting, but persistent chanting. Persistent chanting. Vishnu Chakravarti. Mahad Bhutam is the name of the Lord in the neuter gender. It's a neuter gender. The Shrutis says, so Prabhupada paraphrased, but Vishnu Chakravarti is giving the entire verse here. Asya mahato bhutasya niswasitam etad yad rigveda Brihadaranyaka Upanishads. The breathing of the Lord is called Mahad Bhuta in the Rigveda. Since his breathing is the four Vedas, his words are the highest proof. Since he gave blessings even to me, the low-born son of a maidservant, he is called the one supreme Lord, Ishwaram, one who is keepable. Since the Lord left a trace in the ether in the form of his speaking to Narad, he is called Nabolingam. He is called Erlingam because he was not visible to the eyes. Okay. So now how did Narad spend his you know time after he had this short darshan, which was also the question of Vyas. So this is a very, very famous verse, and this is a life of an ideal devotee when he takes up to Krishna consciousness. Very, very important verse. Namani anantasya tatra papatan guhyani badrani kritani chasmaran घाम पर्यटम stushtamana spraha kalam pratikshanam vimado vimatsara. Giving up shyness, hatatrapa, I began to chant patan, the names of the unlimited Lord, Namani Anantasya, and to remember Smaran, his most excellent Bhadrani, hidden Gyuvani pastimes, Kritani. I wandered the earth, Gam Paryatan, with a satisfied mind, Tushtamana, without material desires. Gata Spruha. Spruha is desire. Gata means to give up. Without pride or selfishness. Vimado, Vimatsara. Vimada means, mada means to have pride, and Vimatsara is selfishness or envy. Waiting for that time. Kalam Pratikshan. I was waiting for that time when death will come and there's a change of body. Prabhupada's purport, as I mentioned, is what is the ideal life of a devotee after he takes up to Krishna consciousness or especially initiation, Prabhupada mentions. The life of a sincere devotee of the Lord is thus explained in a nutshell by Narad Muni by his personal example. Such a devotee, after his initiation by the Lord or his bona fide representative, takes very seriously chanting the glories of the Lord and traveling all over the world so that others may also hear the glories of the Lord. So you can understand that, actually, first we need to take very seriously the chanting of the holy names and to travel all over the world and chant the glories of the Lord. We have to be at the platform of Madhyamadikari, if not Uttam. Uttam is the idol who can preach all over the world. So at least Madhyamadikari. So that's what proper is. Such devotees have no desire for material gain. So you see, Gataspurha. They are conducted by one single desire to go back to Godhead. This awaits them in due course on quitting the material body. Because they have the highest aim of life, going back to Godhead, they are never envious of anyone. In this world, sometimes as practicing devotees, we become envious of other devotees. But why we have to be envious? Ultimately, my goal is to, when we desire anything material or a position, why he's having a better position in the temple, why I'm not having. But my position is in the spiritual world as Krishna's servant. When we are not fixed in that, that is when we become envious. So, because this devotee has the highest goal of life, that is going back to Godhead, he is never envious nor he is proud of being eligible to go back to Godhead. So, Vimada and Vimatsara, Prabhupada mentioned. Their only business is to chant and remember the holy name, fame, and pastimes of the Lord, and according to personal capacity, to distribute the message for others' welfare without motive for material gain. So, you can see repeatedly, Anya Bilashita Shunyam is coming up, Prabhupada is saying. Kritani refers to the Lord's pastimes. I'll just take this after that. Kalam Pratikshanam, expecting the time means when will that time come when I'll be an associate of the Lord? Because the Lord had promised. I had no pride or selfishness since I always thought, who is more fallen than I? This is a quality of a Premi Bhakta. Sadhaka, during the day, he thinks for some moment about Krishna and he feels he's very advanced. Whereas a Bhava Bhakta or a Premi Bhakta, for a moment he forgets the Lord and he considers himself very fallen. So that's why there was no pride or envy. Okay. Yes, dear Krish Prabhuji, you have a question.
Hare Krishna,
Yes.
through this having desire to go back to Godhead, does it, does it coherent with Anya Bhilasita Sonya?
Having desire to go to back to Godhead, what you said?
Is it is it in coherence with Anya Bhilasita Sonya?
Yes. Yeah, I'll explain. Prabhupada not Prabhupada also, Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, when he defines sadhana bhakti, kriti sadhyat bhave sadhya, sa sadhana bida, nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakritam riddhi sadhyata. So while defining this definition, he says, kriti sadhya means, sadhana bhakti is which is executed in the senses, kriti sadhyat bhave sadhya, so that one can attain bhava bhakti. So the goal is to attain prema. So this desire that I should attain bhava or prema, this desire is in line with Anya Bilashata Shunyam. That's what Rup Goswami Vishwanath Chakravarti and even Jeev Goswami in their commentaries mention. So in that sense, you know, uh, that kind of a goal aspiration is a pure desire, and it is fitting within the definition of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Having said that, of course, we don't consider ourselves qualified to go, and we wait for the Lord's mercy. So our job is to perform pure devotion. That is in our hands. And ultimately, Narad also here you can see, and we will see that ultimately, going back to Godhead is not in our hands. Ultimately, the Lord has to, lift us from this material ocean. So I'm just showing a verse which is like a standard. Ye tu sarvani karmani mahi sanyasya matparaha ananyeva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate tesham samuddarta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha maya veshita chetasam. So this is what the sadhaka does. He does ananya bhakti, ananyeva yogena mam dhyayanto upaste. And in reciprocation and love, tesham aham samuddarta, Krishna saying, mrityu samsara sagat. When? Na chirat. Because his consciousness is maya aveshita chetasam. So we should work on maya aveshita chetasam or ananyeva yogena mam dhyayanto upaste. Ultimately, taking us back, that is left to the Lord. You know, we don't say, no, no, I am practicing, so you have to take me. Then that is not the right mood. So I hope you are clear with this, right?
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions anyone else has? Okay, so text 27. So text 27. Evam Krishnamater Brahman nasaktasya malatmanah kala pradurбhut kale tadit saudhammani yatha. O Brahmana Vyas, Brahman, concentrating only on Krishna. Evam Krishna Mate. So you see, Maya Veshat Chetasam. Not attached to material enjoyment. Na asaktasya. Ye tu sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya mat para. So, somehow by Bir Krish Prabhu's inspiration, we quoted that verse. And the next verse is speaking, what is the consciousness of devotion? And mind in pure Amalatmana, the time of receiving my spiritual body occurred. Kala Pradur Bhut. So this is left to the Lord. Simultaneously with that giving up of my material body, Kale, like lightning flashing simultaneously with lightning. Tadit Saudhamani Yatha. So how it happened, the giving up of the material body and the accepting of the spiritual body is given with an example. We will see how Prabhupada explains that. Now Prabhupada is setting up the criteria. What is, Krishna consciousness? To be fully absorbed in the thought of Krishna. So this is first thing. You should be fully absorbed in the thought of Krishna. Mayeva mana adyastva, mayi buddhim niveshaye. 12.8 in the Bhagavad Gita. Means clearance of all material dirts or hankerings. As a very rich man has no hankerings for small petty things, so also devotee of the Lord Krishna, who is guaranteed to pass on to the kingdom of God, where life is eternal, fully cognizant and blissful, naturally has no hankerings for petty material things, which are like dolls or shadows of reality and are without permanent value. This is the sign of spiritually enriched persons. And in due course of time, when a pure devotee is completely prepared, all of a sudden the change of body occurs, which is commonly called death. And for the pure devotee, such a change takes place exactly like lightning and illumination follows simultaneously. Lightning happens, when the lightning happens, no, with the lightning, there is a first lightning and then there is illumination also. And when the lightning hits also, again, it illuminates. Have you observed that? So that first lightning is giving up the material body, and the second again, that light which comes is like accepting the spiritual body. That is to say, the devotee simultaneously changes his material body and develops a spiritual body by the will of the Lord. Even before death, a pure devotee has no material affection due to his body's being spiritualized like a red hot iron in contact with fire. Now, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur has given a very nice purport to this. Not to this, maybe in the next purport he has given. Next purport he goes into a lot of detail. At the time of dissolving my subtle and gross bodies, Kale, the time, Kala, which I was waiting for expectantly for a long time, made its appearance. That is the meaning. It is like saying the time when the king went was the time he arrived. It is said that the intelligence, even when identified with the Lord completely, being non different, still has the ability to make distinctions. But this case was different. Intelligence could not make a distinction. Suddenly, the two items, disappearance of the material body and attainment of the spiritual body, simultaneously made their appearance, connected closely like subject and predicate. An example is given. It is like simultaneity of lightning with another flash of lightning. So, how many of you have observed a lightning very carefully? So, there is a lightning, flash comes, and then there is another flash which happens. So, this lightning is giving up the material body, and this second one is accepting the spiritual body. And it's as good as simultaneously happening. So, that's why this is the apt example from nature which is giving. Just as sometimes lightning appears at the same time as another flash of lightning, similarly, at the exact time of giving up my material body, the time for receiving my spiritual body as an associate also occurred. Also occurred. So that completes this discussion. Now, in the next section, Narad's attaining the perfection of attaining a spiritual body and as an associate of the Lord is being discussed. So, any questions you have? Any questions, any clarifications up till now? Do you have any clarifications? No. Okay, Bir Krishnapuji has a question. Yes, Bir Krishnapuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Huh?
Prabhu, when sadhaka gets perfection in his current material body, and his body gets spiritualized,
Mhm.
and when he leaves spiritualized body,
Mm.
which is material, and
Mhm.
when he gets another body which is perfected body, so
Right.
there will be difference in bodies, with regard to kind of bhava and all which is releasing present body.
Okay, all that will be answered in the next verse, so we'll hold on. Okay.
All right.
And I'll clarify also when I'm discussing the next verse.
All right.
Okay, fine. So let's go to Narad's perfection. What happens when you receive? Prayujyamane maitam shuddham bhagavatim tanum arabdha karma nirvano nyapatet pancha bhautika. So this is the perfect question Bir Krishna has asked, and it is answered in this verse. Having been awarded Mai Prayujyamane, a transcendental body, Tam Shuddham Tanum. So, although he has attained perfection, that means his body is spiritualized, but that body is Pancha Bhautikam. But now he is awarded a transcendental body, Shuddha Tanum, befitting as an associate of the Lord, Bhagavatim, the body made of five material elements, Pancha Bhautika, with karmas relating to the present body. Arabdha karma nirvano fell away. Nya patat. Now, this fell away, is very, very nicely discussed by Vishnu Thakur. Let us go first through Prabhupada's commentary. Informed by the personality of Godhead that he would be awarded a transcendental body befitting the Lord's association, Narad got his spiritual body as soon as he quitted his material body. So the Lord had promised that, Hitva imam lokam. So now he gets that. This transcendental body is free from material affinity and invested with three primary transcendental qualities, namely eternity, freedom from material boards, and freedom from reactions of fruitive activities. So the transcendental body is Sat, Chit, it's Nirguna, and it is, there is no karma to it. Whereas even the sadhaka's body, which has attained perfection, it is still made of material modes. And, it is still not eternal. And the freedom from reactions, although he has attained, and that has progressed from sadhana bhakti to bhava bhakti to prema bhakti. So in that one sense, he has given up those bodies, those karmas. Now, how that happens systematically, Vishwanath Chakravarti will go into the commentary and we will look into that. The material body is always afflicted with the lack of these three qualities. A devotee's body becomes at once surcharged with the transcendental qualities as soon as he is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. It acts like a magnetic influence of the touchstone upon iron. The influence of transcendental devotional service is like that. Therefore, change of the body means stoppage of the reaction of three qualitative modes of material nature upon the pure devotee. So, change of body when it happens means you have to stop the reactions of the three modes. So, this is also defined by Suta Goswami. भिद्यन्ते हृदयग्रन्थिश्छिन्दन्ते सर्वसंशया क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि दृष्ट एवात्मनीश्वर क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि. That is a stoppage of the reactions. There are many instances of this in the revealed scriptures. Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj and many other devotees were able to see the personality of Godhead face to face, apparently in the same body. This means that the quality of a devotee's body changes from material to transcendence. That is the opinion of authorized Goswamis via the authentic scriptures. So that's what Prabhupada leaves it. But this opinion of the Goswamis and authentic scriptural quotes is elaborately discussed by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said in the beginning, said that beginning from Indragop germ up to the King Indra, King of Heaven, all living beings are subjected to the law of karma and are bound to suffer and enjoy the fruitive results of their own work. Only the devotee is exempt from such reactions by the causeless mercy of the Supreme Authority, the Personality of Godhead. Okay. Now let's go into Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's commentary. The Lord previously promised, Hitva Vadyam Imam Lokam Ganta Maj Janatam Asi. Giving up this low body, you will become my associate. So that when the Lord spoke, he said this. At the time of being made to accept a body, which was Shuddha Sattva, Shuddham, because it was not a material body and because it belonged to the Lord Bhagavatim, my material body, Panchabhautika, fell away. So the Panchabhautic body fell away. Giving up my material body and attaining a spiritual body were simultaneous. Like the expression, I'm walking while the cows are being milked. And the nature's example was given of that lightning. The Lord's own words were Hitvadam imam lokam. The use of the word Hitva, giving up the material body, in this case indicates simultaneously giving up the material body while receiving the spiritual body. It is said, Kvachitulya kalepi upavishya bhukte hritkrit patati chakshu sammilya hasati mukam vyadhyaya swapatiti adhikam upasankheyem. There are examples in which the participles indicate simultaneous actions, as in sitting down and eating, assuming debts and falling from esteem, closing the eyes and laughing, lowering the head and falling asleep. So, in Sanskrit grammar, there are simultaneous actions happening, two things. You're sitting down and you're eating. You're you're assuming depths and you're falling for esteem also. Both the things are happening, right? Closing the eyes and laughing. Both these things are happening simultaneously. You're lowering the head and also falling asleep. So similarly, giving up the material body and accepting the spiritual body. Sridhar Swami says, Anena Parshad Tanunam Akarmana Arabdhatvam Shuddhatvam Nityatvam Ityadi Suchitam Bhavati. What is said in this verse is that the bodies of the associates of the Lord are pure. Parshada Tanunam Shuddhatvam without prarabdha karmas. Akarma Arabdhatvam and eternal Nityatvam. The Bahuviri compound Arabdha Karma Nirvaha means that he had destroyed the karmas like fire burning wood. So I don't know what is a Bahuviri compound. This is Sanskrit, But this Arabdha Karma Nirvana means what? He had destroyed the karmas like fire burning wood. But this means that the Prarabdha karmas were not destroyed just now, but previously for that is accomplished by sadhana. So it's not that, when he was giving up his spiritual body, that time he had destroyed his karmas. No, prarabdha karmas are destroyed in the stage of what? Sadhana bhakti. Because the 6 characteristics of Uttama bhakti, the first 2 characteristics are Kleshada, Kleshagni and Shubhada. So Kleshagni should happen in the sadhana. So the prarabdha and aprarabdha get destroyed by sadhana bhakti. Oh. Prarabdha karmas do not remain with the devotees who have developed prema bhakti. For those practicing pure bhakti, destruction of prarabdha karmas takes place during sadhana bhakti. Now, here is a very important statement, and I want you all to focus here. I don't know why this is not required. For those practicing, so how do you know that you are practicing? How do you know that, we might say that we are sadhakas. So if we are practicing sadhakas, so how do we come to know what is the symptom? What is the lakshana? What is the lakshana you feel to know that we are practicing sadhana bhakti? Everything should have a lakshana, right? So how do you know that we have the lakshana of a practicing sadhaka, practicing sadhana bhakti? Anyone? How do we know this? Who will answer? Vinita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Yes.
Prabhuji, with our connection to this process of Krishna consciousness and
By the,
things and
see, you have to give me a symptom, lakshana.
symptom, lakshan, like we start losing interest in the material world.
But what is being said in the verse? I want to know. We don't want a
Lakshan.
general answer.
Okay.
What is being said in the verse?
Not able to, Prabhuji.
Oh, okay. I have already given the answer just now only. Okay, anyone else? How do we know that actually we are practicing sadhana bhakti? It should have symptoms. And what are the symptoms? Yes, Chakra Rama Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Pranam everybody.
Yeah.
Kleshagni and Shubhada takes place.
Yes. If Kleshagni and Shubhada has happened, because Prarabdha and Aprarabdha karmas are destroyed by practice of sadhana bhakti. And sadhana bhakti means it is fitting within Uttama Bhakti. Characteristics of Uttama Bhakti is what? Kleshagni and Shubhada. So if Kleshagni is not happening and Shubhada is not happening, that means what we should infer? What we can infer then? It is happening also, but very, very slowly. It has not, reached its peak. So what can we infer from that? What can we infer from that? Anyone? Bir Krish Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, just I missed the last word, Prabhu.
See, Kleshagni and Shubhada should happen with sadhana bhakti.
Yes.
If you are doing sadhana bhakti, then the symptom should be Kleshagni and Shubhada. Now you
Yes.
don't see the lakshanas, Kleshagni,
That means
Shubhada to that degree, what is being given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So then what can you infer?
we are not practicing pure devotion, Prabhu. It is very strict.
So you have lit a fire on the ground and your pot is hanging on the ceiling with water and rice and you have lit the fire here. So when will that rice cook? It will take a long time. So tivrena bhakti yogena, Shuddha bhakti. When we take up to Shuddha bhakti, then these lakshanas you will see. That's why Vishnu Jagat, for those practicing pure bhakti, destruction of prarabdha karma takes place during sadhana bhakti. And now he is giving a praman. It is said in the story of Priyavrat. Such power, imam vida purush kar, is not surprising, na chitram, from persons who have conquered the six senses. Jita shad gunanam pumsan, by the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord, urukramasya tad angri rajasa. Since even an outcast, Vidura Vigata, becomes immediately free from bondage of karma, Aduna sa jahati bandham, by chanting the Lord's name once. Sakrad a dadaita yad namadeham. So this Nam he is chanting means he is chanting the Shuddha Nam. Because then only karma is burned. No? The prarabdha karma is destroyed of a low birth. And you can see he had conquered the six enemies. That's why you are a Goswami. So as long as you've not attained the stage of Goswami, conquered the six Vegas, that means your bhakti is still not pure. And that's why the prarabdha is not destroyed. Raja and tamare, kama and krodha are affecting you. So that is the symptom of one who is practicing Shuddha Bhakti. Here is the meaning of the verse. This is not so amazing for such type of a person. Why should be amazed? What should be amazing? Even an outcast, Vidura Vigata, who chants the name of the Lord once, now, at the time of accepting the name, gives up his body. Tanmam. So, Nam means, chants the name means Shuddhanam, you should remember. Since we did not see anyone giving up their body simultaneously with chanting, body here means his prarabdha karmas, which are being experienced in the present body. So, when he chants the name, he gives up. The body means gives up his prarabdha karmas. That is the opinion of some. Others say by the association of bhakti, like a touchstone, the body made of the three gunas becomes free from the gunas, as seen in the case of Dhruva. So his body only, which was actually made of three gunas, becomes free from the three gunas. And Dhruva, in that self same body, he went to Vaikunta. We all know that. But that's a rare case, please remember, and we should not expect, it to happen in a general sense. Thus, giving up the body means giving up the body made of three gunas. That means you should be situated on the transcendental platform. This will be explained later in the beginning of Rasa dance with Jahur Gunamayam Deham Sadhya Prashina Bandhana. Free from the bondage, the gopis abandon their gross material bodies made of gunas. So the gopis These are specially referred to the not the Nitya Siddha gopis who come from the spiritual world along with Krishna. These are sadhana siddha gopis, the Rishichari gopis and the Dandakaranya gopis. So when Krishna played his flute on the Vamsi Vat, all the gopis were attracted and they just left everything and they just rushed to the Rasa Leela Stali. Some of the gopis, it is mentioned, they still could not, give up their attachment to, the elderly stopped. And then they were still having that, dharma, which was stopping them to go to Krishna. And they stayed back. And when they stayed back, they went inside their rooms and feeling the fire of separation, that little trace of contamination, they gave up that karma. And that, contamination is like giving up the body. So they gave up and they attained spiritual bodies fully. And then they went, and one of their bodies was also there at home. So they abandoned their gross material bodies, means that is what it means. But others say that sometimes the Lord shows his devotees literally giving up their bodies in order that the opinion of others may not be negated. So the we see in general case that the even very exalted devotees give up their bodies. Thus Narad, who had developed prema, already gave up his body. However, it should be understood that he had already destroyed his prarabdha karmas during his practice of bhakti. Srila Rupa Goswami explained this. Yad Brahma Sakshat Kritinishtayapi Vinasham Mayati Vinana Bhoge Apayeti Nama Spurnena Tatte Prarabdha Karmeti Viroti Vedah. The Vedas declare, Viroti Veda, that although meditation on impersonal Brahman, Brahma Sakshat Kriti Nishtayapi, cannot bring freedom from past karma. Na bhoge vinasham ayati. That means one who is a jnani, even if he's a jivan mukta, he still has to suffer his prarabdha karma and wait, till he gives up his body. And as long as he doesn't give up his body, the prarabdha karma he has to experience. Although he's a liberated jivan mukta, please remember. But, O holy name, your appearance at once, te spurnena, makes all prarabdha tat disappear. Vinasham ayati. Na bhoge. And we need not, suffer the reactions of the prarabdha. So again, the naam has to what? Appear. That means again the Shuddha naam here. If the intended meaning was when Narad's prarabdha karmas were destroyed, his body fell away, the phrase would express as prarabdha karma nirvane nyapatet pancha bhautika. But this grammatical structure has not been used and instead a bahuviri compound has been used. So this is how, uh, I don't know what is a bahuviri compound, but the verse is saying what? Arabdha karma nirvano nyapatet pancha bhautika has been used. But, so it's not that he gave up his prarabdha karma and immediately got a spiritual body. So that's what thus the meaning is a general statement for the devotees. The body which has had its prarabdha karma destroyed will fall away. Will fall away. So that's what the meaning is. Okay. Kalpantedam madaya shayane ambasya udhanvata शीशशयोर अनुप्राणम विश्व विवशे antar aham vibhu. At the end of the kalpante, when Brahma withdrew the universe, idam adaya, with his breathing, anupranam, I entered aham viveshe, into Brahma, who desired to sleep in Narayan. Shisha, shi, sha, Yishu, Vibhu, who was lying Shahane in the water of the only ocean, Ambasi Udanvata. This is the Garbhoda question. Narad is known as the son of Brahma, as Lord Krishna is known as the son of Vasudeva. The personality of Godhead and his liberated devotees like Narad appear in the material world by the same process. So, Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam is applied to the Lord, and it applies to also his eternal associates like Narada. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita, the birth and activities of the Lord are all transcendental. Therefore, according to authorized opinion, the birth of Narad as the son of Brahma is also a transcendental pastime. His appearance and disappearance are practically on the same level as that of the Lord. The Lord and his devotees are therefore simultaneously one and different as spiritual entities. They belong to the same category of transcendence. Vishnu Chakatakur. If you have an eternal body, then why are you known to be born from Brahma in this Swayambhu Manvantara? Vyasdev is asking. It is said, Utsangan Narado Jagni. Narada was born from the deliberation of Brahma, which is the best part of the body. So this is when Brahma's creation is explained in the third canto, 12th chapter. That is true. Just as the Lord for his particular pastimes enters the womb of Devaki, from the pastimes of being the son of Brahma, at the end of the previous kalpa, Brahma's previous night, I entered the body of Brahma. When Brahma withdrew the three worlds, Idamade, I entered along with his breathing into Brahma, who desired to go to sleep to Narayan, was sleeping in the water of the only ocean. Now he quotes that verse. Having appeared, Tato Avatirna, Brahma, Vishwatma, entering the body of Vishnu, Chakrina Deham Avishya, became one with Vishnu. Vishnuna Eki Bhuya. Then Ata went into Vishnu's spiritual sleep. Avapya Vaishnavim Nidram. This is from the Koran Puran. Other version has Shwavane instead of Shayane. This means in his controller, who is the water. The expression equates Narayan with the water because he is non-different from it. Ayana, Narayana. One who sleeps on that ocean is Narayan. Okay, then what happened? Sahasra Yuga Paryante Utthyaedam Shishikshata Marichi Mishra Rishayo Pranebhyoham Cha Jaja Jajanire. At the end of the 1,000 yuga cycles, because the night is 1,000 yuga cycles, Sahasra Yuga Paranti, Brahma awoke Utthaya and Marichi and other sages, Marichi Mishrashaya, and I, Ahamcha, appeared, Ja Jinire, from the senses of Brahma, Pranebhya, who desired to create the universe again. Idam Shishikshata. Prabhupada. The duration of the day in the life of Brahma is 43 lakh 20,000 years. That is 43 lakh years, 43 lakh 20,000 years. This is also stated in Bhagavad Gita 8.17. So for this period, Brahmaji rests in Yoga Nidra within the body of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the generator of Brahma. Thus, after the sleeping period of Brahma, when there is again creation by the will of the Lord through the agency of Brahma, all the great rishis again appear from different parts of the transcendental body, and Narad also appears. This means Narad appears in the same transcendental body just as a man awakens from sleep in the same body. Sri Narad is eternally free to move in all parts of the transcendental and the material creations of the Almighty. He appears and disappears in his own transcendental body, which is without distinction of body and soul, unlike conditioned beings. Vishwanath Thakur. At the end of the 1,000 yuga cycle means at the end of the previous kalpa and the beginning of this kalpa, Marichi and other sages, Marichi Mishra, and I were born from the senses of Brahma. Note, Jiva Goswami explains that their birth is actually awaking from sleep only. Narad has an eternal body, but sometimes special jivas take up the form of Narad as well. So this is more elaborated in actually the Sandarbhas, not the Sandarbhas, especially in the Rupa Goswami's work, that is Laghu Bhagavatamrit. So what Rupa Goswami mentions is actually there is an eternal personality in the spiritual world called as Narad. And sometimes these jivas in this particular universe who attain perfection, they, they derive their qualities from this eternal associate Narad in the spiritual world. And then they are called as Narada. Da means to give. Nar means, to give the Lord. Narayan, Jajire instead of Jani, Mahe is a poetic license. So that is. Okay. Let's take this. Next section is quite long still now. 34 to 38 is the next section. We have a little more time, so I'll take this one more verse. Any questions you have up till now? Any questions, any clarifications? Chakrama Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Yes.
Prabhuji, full respect to yourself and even to Vishwanath Chakravarti and myself, obeisance to him also. आपने mention किया कि when holy name is Narada utters holy name. Narada means uttering the holy name, then Prabdha karma is destroyed and the body left. His body falls. Regarding
No,
Narada.
no. Prarabdha, that Prarabdha is body falls means the Prarabdha is actually gone. That's what it means.
I was thinking about what of Aprabdha karmas.
Prarabdha is destroyed first only. By practice of Shuddha Bhakti, Prarabdha is destroyed. But the
First
glory of
Aprabdha
the
karma gets
Shuddha
destroyed.
Bhakti, the
First.
glory of Shuddha Bhakti is that it destroys even the Prarabdha.
Okay.
It destroys the Prarabdha.
I didn't understand the sequence. So
Well,
Aprabdha is there, also there remains.
yeah, see, for that you'll have to very elaborately study the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But just to put it precise here or concise, the sum total of all karmas which you are going to suffer in the future lives, which are going to come as reactions, that is a prarabdha. Within the sum total of all karmas, which is called as sanchit, in this life, what you are going to suffer, that is what is called as prarabdha. That means in this life, you have got a particular body, and when this life is going to continue from your birth till death, certain karmas are going to fructify in this life. So all the karmas which are going to fructify in this life, that is called as prarabdha karma. So bhakti destroys aprarabdha karma, there is no doubt, but bhakti also destroys prarabdha karma. So this Rup Goswami establishes in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is a very elaborate discussion. So the point what here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was making in the commentary is that giving up the body means he gives up the prarabdha karma. That is given up in sadhana stage only. He has given up prarabdha karma, and at bhava stage or prema stage, there's at the when the time of death comes, he's already free from all prarabdha karma. So he gives up that pancha bhautika deha, and he gets a spiritual body. So that was a discussion there. Is it okay, Prabhu? Okay. Antarbahimsh lokam strin paryamye askhanditavratah anugrahan mahavishnur ave gata gati kvachet, with continuous worship of the Lord. Askhandavrata, by the grace of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu anugrahan. I travel. Paryamya, outside and inside the universe. Antarbahishya lokam strin. That means Narad within the universe can travel anywhere, and he can go to the spiritual world, and from the spiritual world he can come to the material world with no obstacles at all. Avigata gati kochit. Prabhupada. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there are three divisions of material spheres, namely Urdhvaloka, topmost planets, Madhyaloka, midway planets, and adoloka, downward planets. Beyond the Urdhvakoloka planets, that is say above the Brahmaloka, are the material coverings of the universe, and above that is the spiritual sky, which is unlimited in expansion, containing unlimited self-illuminated Vaikuntha planets inhabited by God Himself, along with His associates, who are eternally liberated living entities. Narad Muni could enter all these planets in both the material and the spiritual spheres without restriction, as much as Almighty Lord is free to move personally in any part of His creation. Just imagine what is the freedom, Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti gives us. Can't even imagine this. Now we can't, if you want to go from one country to another country, we need so much adhikar. You have to have finances, you need a visa, and you have to fly in an aeroplane, which is so cumbersome sitting in that. And Narad in a spiritual body can just fly. He's an eternal spaceman traveler, you know. He doesn't need to buy a ticket. And what to speak, not only in this world, he can go to the upper planetary systems, lower planetary systems. He can go beyond this universe. In the material world, the living beings are influenced by the three modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. But Sri Narad Muni is transcendental to all these material modes, and thus he can travel everywhere unrestricted. He's a liberated spaceman. Prabhupada is putting in a modern term this. The causeless mercy of Lord Vishnu is unparalleled, and such mercy is perceived by the devotees only by the grace of the Lord. Therefore, devotees never fall down, but the materialists, that the fruitive workers and speculative fellows do fall down, being forced by their respective modes of nature. The rishis, as above mentioned, cannot enter into the transcendental world like Narada. This fact is disclosed in the Narasimha Puran. Rishi like Marichi and authorities in fruitive work, and rishis like Sanaka and Sanatana are authorities on physical speculation. They are Mishra Bhaktas. But Narad Muni is the prime authority for transcendental devotion service of the Lord. All the great authorities in the devotional service of the Lord follow in the footsteps of Narad Muni in the order of the Narad Bhakti Sutra, and therefore all the devotees of the Lord are unhesitantly qualified to enter into the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha. I am not like Marichi and other sages with material bodies, under the influence of their own karmas, involved in karma yoga, nor like Kumaras involved in jnana. I am above the paths of material engagement and renunciation, the pravritti marg and the nivritti marg. I worship the Lord and exist independently. This is expressed in this verse. Those who are karma yogis do not go beyond the universe. Those who have attained Brahman by very difficult austerities do not go into the material universe out of fear from the bondage of karma. But I, fixed in continuous devotion, Lord, travel outside and inside the, or outside can mean I travel outside the universe to Vaikuntha. Thus it is said. The Kumaras, Sanakade, are on the path of detachment, Nivritakya Dharme Niyojita. And Marichi and others, Marichadya, are engaged in the path of material life, Pravritakya. Only Narada is liberated. Mukta evam Naradam Munim, Narsimha Puran. So Prabhupada had paraphrased it. The verse is here. Okay. So we will stop here. Time is up. Any questions, any clarifications you have about this? Or any other questions with respect to today's discussion again? Yes, Bir Krish Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, it is mentioned that Marichi and others are engaged in path of material life. So does
Yeah,
it?
that is Mishra Bhakti.
Yeah.
Any other questions anyone has? Okay, so we'll stop. Oh, Navneet. Yes, Navneet. Mataji, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have a question, Prabhuji. What is the biggest obstacle preventing like Kleshagni to not happen while we are doing sadhana? Is it
Oh,
Anya Bilashita Shunyam?
oh, very nice question. This is a good question you have brought out. Actually, the greatest obstacle in the path of bhakti is aparadhs. is apradhs, offenses. Offenses to the name and offenses to Vaishnavas. So if we can work
So
on
how do
this.
we rectify, sir? Prabhuji, how do we rectify? Just chanting or like what is the
Yeah, we have
conscious
to
effort
understand
I
what is
have to make?
Vaishnava Prad. We have to understand what is Nama Prad and avoid this. Otherwise, the path of bhakti is like, it's like a super express highway. You can just, there is in this path of bhakti, there is only two things you have to do. Only one thing, Nam Grahan Vaikuntha Gaman. You have to take the name and straight ascend to Vaikuntha. But because there are so many aparadhs we have done in this life and the previous life, so that Nam doesn't fructify and they are not able to take that Shuddha Nam. So we should be very careful that we don't commit offenses while chanting. And we have to understand Nama Tattva. And the more we understand Nama Tattva, and with that Sambandha Gyan we chant and we not avoid committing offenses to Nam, then also we will be very careful in our dealings with Vaishnavas and not commit Vaishnava Aparadh. And then, you know, there is sure shot, success in the path of bhakti. Okay?
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very, very much. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.